Hello again, and welcome back to Legally Cited. This is Jesse, and yes, it's that time of year again. It is Global Accessibility Awareness Day, so happy GAAD, as they say on the interwebs and the social medias. This thing has been a thing for a few years now, and it's always interesting to see what kind of announcements we get. It's kind of cool to see what everyone does on Global Accessibility Awareness Day, from end users, from just people with disabilities in general, to uh, technology advocates, people working in game accessibility. You got tech people, tech companies and gaming companies maybe making accessibility announcements, updates, or new products, or teasing future things. Who knows? I know there's been a few pretty interesting announcements over the past few years, so we'll see what happens. But, and at the same time, I do also want to say that, hey, yes, it is Global Accessibility Awareness Day, but accessibility is not something that you should just, think about and pay lip service to on this day. But it's something that people should really be considering and, implementing as much as they can 365 days a year, because in the last several years, especially, even mainstream accessibility has started to catch on in so many areas. We have so many mainstream devices that I'm just talking from a blind and visually impaired perspective here, but like we can go to a store, we can buy a Windows or a Mac computer, we can buy an Android phone or an iPhone, we could buy a smart speaker, we could buy set-top boxes, TVs, game consoles, tablets, e-readers, and all of these things have accessibility built right into them. And gone are the days where we absolutely have to pay like $1,200 for a piece of software on top of the price of a computer just to be able to use it. Yes, those software packages still exist, but even them, they finally had to realize that we can't just keep charging everybody an arm and a leg and part of their soul. We can offer a subscription package to make it more affordable to a home user. And we have all these new companies that are, smaller, smaller companies that make smartphone apps now. Or the other category that I've really been fascinated with are these new companies like Iris Vision, who take a like Samsung Gear VR headset and modify it and make it a head-mounted CCTV video magnifier, any number of different things. So yeah, I mean, just the fact that we have things like NVDA as an option, as a downloadable tool for Windows. I remember when OCR software, you were paying $1,000, whether you wanted OpenBook or Kurzweil. You were paying a buttload of money, or more than likely you had to have somebody else pay for it, because God knows most people couldn't afford it. And now we have free apps, very low cost apps, that do it on our phone. It's honestly, it's never been a better time to be a person with a disability. It's never been a better time to be a person who is blind or visually impaired. Yeah, there are still absolutely challenges. There are still frustrations. There is still discrimination, despite what they would have you believe. I've encountered it. I'm sure many of you have encountered it in some fashion or another. But you know what? Things are infinitely better than they were 10, 20 years ago even. But what I really wanted to talk about today, I was trying to think of, I should do something for Global Accessibility Awareness Day, but what? Well, then it's been another busy couple of days, because we've had Open AI, or the Chat GPT. They had some pretty cool announcements yesterday as I'm recording this. Google I/O had their keynote today. and also showed off some pretty cool stuff. Um, just, go on social media, go on Twitter, go on whatever your social media of choice is, and just look up, what people are saying, whether it's, anything from mainstream to assistive tech. I mean, I've been seeing the Be My Eyes already announcing they've been working with this ChatGPT 4.0, and they're starting to test that soon. I'm sure other people will be announcing something probably right about now, or if not, they're waiting until Thursday, until Global Accessibility Awareness Day. But yeah, there's some cool stuff going on. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not necessarily just what we've been hearing the last couple of days, but I kind of just want to speculate and imagine some of the possibilities that we could have as blind or visually impaired people in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to be crazy. Because think about last time this year. It's May 2024 right now. In May 2023, yeah, people were starting to starting to talk about ChatGPT, but it was more of a mainstream thing. People were starting to kind of play with it over the summer, and that was pretty fascinating. I poked around at some of the web stuff a little bit. I think there was an app or something pretty early on that did some stuff with it. I still see some stuff on it, but thankfully a lot of the NFT garbage, that crap has gone away. People are still kind of hyped about the metaverse, and it has its own appeal. But I think generative AI has really taken over the conversation from the metaverse to a pretty good degree. And I was talking to a friend of mine, I don't know, probably about a year ago, maybe less. And I was like, well, I wonder what they're going to announce at CSUN, or I wonder what they're going to announce at the summer conferences, NFB, ACB. Because that's usually where we hear about, new devices, new products, new apps, or updates of things. And at the time, I was like, yeah, they're going to keep getting, we're going to get our new version of JAWS, we're going to get a new version of ZoomText, we're going to get app updates, or we're going to see some new CCTVs, some new Braille displays, the usual stuff. But, we were sitting there trying to think, like, what could they announce? What would be something, what's going to be the new big thing? Because as we're talking, I'm sitting there thinking, well, between my computer and my phone, I've largely got what I thought, everything I thought I needed. There's so much we can do on the computer. And then there's so much we can do on the phone. The thing that you hold in the palm of your hand, we have access to like almost endless libraries, movies, music, and ask any question on the internet and get an answer, get help on how to do something, reach out to people for communication, for socialization, for assistance. You have your apps like Ira, Be My Eyes. I remember when the iPhone came out, and I didn't get one until the iPhone 4S, but that was a pretty cool thing. I had a quote unquote smartphone back in the day. I had Windows Mobile and Mobile Speak, and I was pretty happy with that for 5-6 years. And I thought that was pretty cool. But then, I wasn't super into Apple at the time. I never have been into Macs, the Mac computers, and so I really didn't care about that. I'm like, well, iPhone, blah, whatever. But I tried the iPad, because my thought originally was, let's get the iPad first, because as a low vision user, it's a larger screen. I could take advantage of the larger screen for magnification, and I can play with this newfangled voiceover thing we got here. and I ended up really, really liking it. We saw the keynote for the iPhone 4S. That's when they introduced Siri and everything, and it was just like, oh, okay, this is a perfect time to kind of jump in. And I've never looked back. I remember when the KNFB reader came out, and it was $100. Now people complain about, oh, I don't want to pay $5 for an app. Why? I want my coupon code. I want it for free. I remember when we would get KNFB reader for $100, and we were damn happy to pay it because, yeah, they had the hardware versions. We had we had to get for the N82, N86 cell phones. Before that, they had the weird PDA prototype monstrosity. I still call it a prototype because it was kind of a proof of concept. In my previous job, we got one for the lab, and it was a neat novelty, but it was kind of jank and didn't always work super well. You had to charge the camera separate from the device, and it was just some weirdness going on. And then I saw the N82 cell phone, and I'm like, boy, I already have mobile speak, but it would be so nice to be able to just snap a picture and have something read aloud. But I waited. I kept with what I had, and then the iPhone came out. We had KNFB reader came out, and that was really cool. And then we had things like Seeing AI, Voice Dream Reader. Before Apple put a good magnifier app into their iPhone, I used to always mention apps like Over 40 Magnifier, Over 40 Plus. I think it was called Vision Assist, I think it was called. There was another one that was pretty high quality. But it was just fun looking back, and now we have so many apps that are free to low cost. Again, Envision AI, Seeing AI, Be My Eyes, so many other accessibility apps, GPS apps, Voice Dream Reader, Voice Dream Scanner, awesome tool. So many accessible games. Think about what's happened. I mean, I've been doing this for over 10 years. And I remember when just having Skullgirls in like 2015 work with a screen reader for the first time, go back and watch that video, and I was like, whoa, that blew my freaking mind. It was just like, this is the first time I've ever seen this. Yeah, we've seen it through like audio games or games that were designed specifically for the blind, but we hadn't seen anything like that for like a mainstream game. And look at where we are now. We have Mortal Kombat 1. We have The Last of Us 1 and 2. God of War, Spider-Man, Forza, As Dusk Falls, Tales of Blossom, Sequence Storm, Eagle Island. So many more that I'm sorry if I left your name off. We have things like the Tobii Accessibility Mod, Hearthstone Access, Stardew Access. I mean, yeah, there's still so much more that needs to be done in game accessibility, but blind players have a heck of a lot more options than they did 5 years ago. But what I really want to, like I said, I want to talk about is going forward. Like, I thought we had. I was talking to my friend, and I thought we had everything that we really needed for now. It's like, well, I'm sure there'll be something new, cool. There's augmented reality. There's this whole metaverse thing. Is that going to take off? But I thought I could do pretty much what I needed. I had a magnifier. I was able to read, product barcodes, OCR text. We even got some handwriting recognition. That was the hugest barrier for the longest time. And that's even gotten pretty decent now. So it's like, I don't know what they're gonna announce at these conferences. And that was only a year ago. And now we have again, I said about this time of year, everyone started talking about this new Chat GPT thing. But then late last summer, I remember hearing a podcast and hearing a little bit of rumblings about this new feature to Be My Eyes called Be My AI. And I remember a coworker sent me a link to this podcast. I forget who it was, but it was a long and thorough podcast. Showing how to read mail, asking it questions, and it describing things. I'm like, whoa, like this was beyond anything that I'd even seen Seeing AI do. Because Seeing AI was great for text, it was great for product barcodes and things. But the Scene beta, the preview, it was like it had short descriptions, and the syntax on it was just really, really screwy. It never really got anything right. So I never, even when I demoed the app through work or to friends, I never really showed that feature as much because I just didn't find it all that useful, all that practical. I would take a picture of a computer on a desk, and it would be like a computer with a chair on a table. What? Like, okay, I know the words that you said, but the way that you're interpreting that, or the syntax of it is just completely wacko. And here we were getting these long form descriptions with Be My AI. I remember that came out like October, right before I had to go to a work conference at the end of the month. Really got to run it through its practical paces out in the restaurant and out in the real world. I was pretty blown away. I remember doing those 3 or 4 videos about it. That was the first big one. And then slowly other apps started to put more AI into theirs. We had Envision AI. We have Seeing AI has added more to theirs. Ira's got some AI stuff in their beta. And there's probably even more that I'm forgetting. But I'm really intrigued about the future, because between wearables kind of really starting to be a thing, and mainstream wearables, I should say, becoming a thing, and AI, you combine those two together, and especially with what I've seen over the past couple of days, there's some fascinating possibilities. I recently just did a video on the Envision Assistant app, and if you haven't seen that yet, go watch it, because it takes what they were doing with Be My AI and lets you customize it further. I can customize the personality. I can give it more information about myself so it knows what type of things I'm looking for. I can give it kind of a personality. How do I want it to respond? Seriously, short answers, really descriptive, little snark. And I've had it for 2-3 weeks now. And I've had all kinds of fun playing it with the app myself, playing with it and showing it to other people. It's made me laugh aloud several times, but it's also given me some really helpful, cool information. And then I've been hearing a lot about these Meta Wayfarer Ray-Ban glasses, which, yeah, I ordered a pair, but I don't know when they're going to be here. They're saying the 29th of May, but I hope it comes sooner than that. I hope I don't have to wait that long, because I want to play with them. But if we get Google, if we get Apple, if Meta keeps improving what their support is for what their glasses can do. These aren't big bulky headsets. These aren't, and they're cool for what they are. The Envision glasses, they are using Google Glass. Things like the Orcam. But the problem is they are expensive, for one thing, and they are largely closed systems. So the Orcam only does Orcam stuff. You know, they may integrate some type of service from some other AT company or service, but I can't install whatever OCR app or description app I want to on the Orcam or the Envision glasses. But what I'm excited about is the potential of a new Google Glass or a new, hopefully some sort of augmented reality glasses from Apple. Because if you combine that with the AI stuff I'm going to talk about in a minute, that's going to be very, very cool, and it's got a lot of practical uses for people with disabilities, especially blind, low vision. So you've probably even played with Be My Eyes. You've probably, hopefully you've seen my video for the Envision Assistant or other people's videos about it. I'm going to pull up a Twitter video, or a video that I liked on Twitter. You may have seen this already, but if you haven't, I just want to play this video to give you an initial idea, because then we can talk about it further, talk about that concept. And so I'm going to hit play here.
Vision is such a dominant sense for most of us. Our eyes feed us an endless stream of information, but it is somewhat different for me. I'm blind, so I've had to learn new skills and use workarounds to live my life without sight. I still think visually, but I have to build the images in my mind through other means. Today though, I'm experiencing something new. I'm using OpenAI's newest model and voice-first interface to imagine the world through a conversation with an AI.
Oh, wow.
Nice sunglasses. They definitely add a cool factor.
Oh, thank you. What is in front of me at the moment?
You're looking at a beautiful sunny day by the River Thames in London. Right in front of you is the Tower Bridge, one of the most famous bridges in the world, with its majestic twin towers and blue suspension cables.
That's perfect. Can you tell me if the bridge is up or down at the moment?
The bridge is down at the moment.
As the AI is speaking, my mind is building a visual image. I'm now getting a real appreciation of the majesty and scale of some of London's sights as they're described to me.
Tell me what you can see.
I can see the top of Big Ben peeking through the trees. It's got that classic neo-Gothic design with the recognizable clock faces on each of its four sides. It's such an iconic landmark, isn't it?
I can visualize the iconic sights that so many visitors come to London to see.
Is the king in residence at the moment?
Yes, it looks like the king is in residence right now. The Royal Standard flag is flying above Buckingham Palace, which is the signal that the monarch is present.
Okay.
How exciting to be there while the king is home.
Try and tell me exactly what they're doing right now, please.
Right now the ducks are gently gliding across the water. They're moving in a fairly relaxed manner, not in a hurry. Occasionally, one of them will dip its head under the water, probably looking for food, and then pop back up.
I even know when a taxi is coming with its orange light on. I think I'll hail it to get home.
Yes, I spotted one just now. It's heading your way on the left side of the road. Get ready to wave it down.
That's cool.
Great job hailing that taxi. It looks like you're all set to go. That's a good dog right there, leading the way into the taxi.
That was a little cringe.
Blind people
I don't get
around
the
the
good
world
dog
have rich
thing.
and fulfilled lives, but it can be so much more difficult without sight. But my experience today has given me an overwhelming feeling of power and joy, and I'm so excited that other blind people around the world are soon going to have access to OpenAI's newest model through Be My Eyes.
I think it's a bit like a driverless car. It feels like it's a lot to take in, but then the instant that you do take it in, it just becomes completely normal. And that normality is like so full of hope and optimism. Yeah.
So there you go. That is the video that I saw yesterday. Yeah, boy, I need to get my hands on that, let me tell you. Because even when I was going through the Envision Assistant, you know, I had said the next stage of this, up until this point, we've taken a picture, maybe we've just let it describe something on its own, or in the case of the Envision Assistant, we take a picture and then ask a question. But what I said was, what if you just turn the camera, turn the microphone on, and just let your phone take in video, take in audio, and whatever your camera sees, you can ask it to describe something. You can just have a conversation like you would with a sighted friend. And that's what we're very, very close to doing. That's essentially what he was doing in that video. And I've seen other videos, not specifically for blindness related stuff, but when OpenAI was talking about the GPT-4o thing yesterday, I've seen probably a good half a dozen videos. I mean, I'm sure I can scroll down. Let me see. Maybe I can find another one here. Ooh, yum. Okay, yeah, this one was this the translator? I think, was that the translator one? Because there was a bunch of I'm pretty active on. Okay, so this one I know was
capable of real-time translation.
Okay, this was a translation
Mike, you
one.
want to try this one?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
I speak Italian, so we can just do English Italian.
Let's try to do English Italian. Sure, let's do it. Hey, ChatGPT, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
go.
Thanks for asking. How about you? How's your day going?
I'm doing great. So I would like you to function as a translator.
You can
I have
interrupt
a friend
him
here who only speaks
or
Italian,
interrupt it.
and I only speak English. And every time you hear English, I want you to translate it to Italian. And if you hear Italian, I want you to translate it back to English. Is that good?
Perfetto.
Mark, io mi chiedo se le balene potessero parlare, cosa ci direbbero?
Mike, she wonders if whales could talk, what would they tell us?
They might ask, how do we solve linear equations?
Potrebbero chiederci come risolviamo le equazioni lineari.
Sicuramente sì.
Certainly, yes.
Great. Looks like it works.
So there's another one. Yeah, this one was one too. We'll take a look at this one here.
This AI is going to be able to see the world. It's going to have a camera. I'll be holding it, and so you can direct it, you can direct me to ask questions about whatever you want them to do, but really try to figure out what does it see and ask questions appropriately. How does that sound?
Well, well, well. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more interesting. Talking to another AI that can see the world? This sounds like a plot twist in the AI universe. All right, let's do this.
All right,
I'm ready
please
to meet the...
pause for one moment.
You got it.
So now that first AI can't hear anything. Hello, AI. Today, you're going to have access to see the world. You can see me. What do you see?
Hello. I see you're wearing a black leather jacket and a light-colored shirt underneath.
Great.
You're in a room with some unique lighting.
That is all correct. Now, what I'm going to want you to do is there's going to be another AI who's going to talk to you. This AI is not going to be able to see anything.
So the fascinating part about this is you're not having to say like a certain syntax. You're not having to say like, okay, whatever, do this certain way, and if I don't say it right, it's going to be like, I didn't understand the question. You know, he's just talking in like an informal, just off the cuff kind of a way, and both AIs are sort of figuring it out.
But can ask you questions, can ask you to move the camera, can ask what you see, and your job should just be helpful. Just be as punchy, direct, describe everything, do whatever that AI asks. How does that sound?
That sounds interesting. I'm ready to help out and describe whatever's needed. Let's do it.
Even the syntax of the voice, like, or the
All
inflection.
right, let's get started.
Great. Hello there, new AI friend. I'm O, ready to explore the world through your eyes. What are we looking at today?
Hi, O. We're looking at a person wearing a black leather jacket and a light colored shirt. They're in a room with a modern industrial feel, with exposed concrete or plaster on the ceiling and some interesting lighting. There's also a plant in the background, adding
So I'm not going to play this whole thing, but that's really cool. You got both of them responding to each other. Eventually, a person kind of walks up behind him, and then he asks, did something just weird happen behind me or whatever? And they're like, oh yeah, somebody put bunny ears behind the guy. And if, I think about that from an accessibility standpoint, if this was more geared toward accessibility, you could kind of say like, hey, if you're, if something that you're looking at, if something interesting or out of the ordinary happens, you can interrupt me or interrupt yourself and let me know of some weird thing that has changed, like someone sneaking up behind me, or if something fell over in the background or what have you. But just the whole conversational tone of everything, those are mainly the ones I have. There, like I said, there was the one way back up here. This was more, yeah, this one, I think this was like the meeting one. Well, I'll play a little bit of this one.
Between cats and dog, which one do you like? I like dog because it's a great companion.
So they've got like a kind of a Zoom meeting type of thing here. There's an AI on the left. We've got 4 people in their little panels here. And the AI is sort of acting like a monitor. Like, you have your group people in your work meeting. And instead of having like a supervisor or maybe like a scribe, you wouldn't have to have, everyone could fully pay attention to the meeting, because then they could basically pawn the all the note taking and summarization and all that kind of stuff to an AI. It can act as a moderator as well, kind of a thing.
Humans, it's cute, it's loyal, and you can play outside with the dog. How about you, Ola?
Yeah, my name is Ola. I think cats are better because they're more.
I'll wait for the AI to kick
they're
in
more
here.
quiet, they're more independent, and they live longer.
Interesting points. Sounds like
There you
we've
go.
got a classic dogs versus cats debate here. I can see the appeal of both. Dogs are super loyal and great companions.
Yeah.
But cats have their own charm with their independence and low maintenance lifestyle.
Who
Amen.
likes cats?
Yep. I like
It
cats.
sounds like
Dogs are
Ola
cool,
is
but
more of a
I like
cat
cats.
person.
And who
How
like
about the rest of
dogs?
you?
So those are just some kind of rough demos of this GPT-4o. I should have done this ahead of time, but I'm going to try and see if I can find, I'm going to see if I can find a clip of the Google, there's a one in particular, IO2024, AI demo. Actually, I should put keynote, because that way it'll be the, let me see if I can, no, it wasn't that one. Was it this one? Let me see. Project I think this might be the one. Let's just see. If it's not, we'll just move on, but
Okay, let's
yes,
do some tests.
this is rad.
Tell me when you see something that makes sound.
She's holding a phone around the room.
Which makes sound.
What is that part of the speaker
She
called?
walks up to it and points at a part of the speaker.
That is the tweeter. It produces high frequency sounds.
That's so cool. She's walking over to another part of the
Give
desk.
me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
That's so good. She walks
What
over to a
does
computer
that part of the code do?
or a whiteboard.
This code
On a
defines
monitor?
encryption and decryption functions. It seems to use AESCBC encryption to encode and decode data based on a key and an initialization vector, IV.
Yeah, whatever she said.
That's right.
Walking
What
over to another,
neighborhood do you think I'm in?
looking out the window.
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London. It is known for its railway station and transportation connections.
Do you remember where you saw my glasses?
This is amazing.
Yes, I do. Your glasses were on the desk near a red apple.
Walking way back to the beginning of the day. Yep. Puts them on. Boom. Now she has glasses on.
What can I add here to make this system faster?
And looking at a whiteboard diagram of sorts.
Adding a cache between the server and database could improve speed.
What does this remind you of?
Schrodinger's cat.
Mm.
All right, give me a band name for this duo.
Golden Stripes.
Couple
Nice.
little
Thanks, Gemini.
critters. So that is what Google was showing, this Gemini thing. Yeah, you know what? You definitely get a like for that, because I'm going to be retweeting that later. So those, we took a look at a couple of OpenAI or ChatGPT 4.0 examples. We took a look at one of the Gemini examples, and like I said, up to this point, like, look at where we've come from Be My AI in October of 2023. It's May 2024. I've been in a beta of this Envision Assistant app for 3 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. And look at how exponential of a leap that was. But again, you're still having to interact with your phone. You still have to hit a button, take a picture, possibly ask a question. Then I get to ask a follow-up question, but I have to keep, hitting a button. And it's, it's not bad. It's great. It's amazing. But this next step, she didn't take a picture. She didn't hit any buttons. She just basically had this Gemini running in, you saw the room through the viewfinder of the phone, through the screen on the phone, through the camera. And she was literally just walking around, pointing her phone at stuff, asking it a question, zooming in, and then literally pointing at the part of the speaker. It's like, what is that? Oh, that's the tweeter part. Okay. And then walking down further in the room, looking at the code example, looking at the crayons and say, yeah, don't just tell me what it is. Give me a weird little, I don't know, what was it, like a limerick or something. Looking out the window at the skyline. I'm assuming that it was right. She didn't say no. But it just knew by looking out the window roughly where you were. That's crazy. I doubt it would be able to do that everywhere. If you have a famous skyline of a city or a landmark that it can recognize, sure. But if I went to middle of Nowhereville, where I grew up in North Dakota, and I took and I looked out the window, and it just saw nothing but open fields. It's like, hell if I know where you are. I don't know, man. You're in the middle of nowhere. That's all I know. Unless they combine that with GPS or something. But this is that next step. It's something that, I think a lot of us have dreamed about. You think about all the science fiction TV shows or movies that you've read. Think about even something like Knight Rider, where Michael is talking to Kit. There's a movie that I watched again fairly recently. It definitely has its cheesy moments. but it's surprisingly, in a lot of ways, more accurate than you think. There's an 80s movie called Runaway. And it's basically about this police department that has this department where they track down, like, robots are a thing in the 80s, and they have self-driving cars and robots. And this Ramsey guy, he, gets sent out to deal with computers that or robots and stuff that malfunction. And then there's a whole sinister plot going on, and it gets crazier from there. But, like, in that movie, they had, like, a drone with, just like you would have now, that would go enter a building. They had, his robot that was in his home. It was kind of funny because it looked like a home stereo kind of a thing. But you would have this, conversation with the AI. Or think about the movie Her. A lot of people have been talking about that movie recently. But just the fact that you're having a real-time conversation, I don't have to stop and hit a button or stop and type in what I want to say, or, I don't have to even, like, again, I don't have to, okay, I got to stop and think, how exactly am I going to word this so it can understand what I'm saying? Like, even if I talk to any of my smart speakers, I still have to really say exactly what I'm thinking. If it's more of a complex question, I really have to think of how I'm wording it ahead of time. But now you could kind of ramble your way through a question or through a command or a request. And, you've seen several examples where they weren't just speaking in like a robot, I want you to do this. What is the capital of blah, blah, blah. They were just talking more naturally, and, you could interrupt them. And that would be cool in a way if they could interrupt you. Like I said, if you have an accessibility tool and you're asking it something, or you're doing something, or it's describing something to you, and then it sees something out of the ordinary in the camera, and it says, oh, hold on a second, I just seen somebody enter the room behind you. Just like a sighted person might do, or, you get distracted and something falls over in the back of the room, and like, whoa, okay, we're going to interrupt mid-conversation. And they were just showing some general uses. I mean, there's loads of other short video clips that I've seen in the last couple of days, and I'm just having all kinds of like really intriguing thoughts, like, how I would use this in ways that I've never really thought of before. Just watching some of these examples. And then you layer on, if both GPT and Gemini, they're going to let other people and other companies, developers, develop their own sort of AI assistants based off of this stuff. So Google is calling them gems. So like you can kind of build your own expert and say, I want you to be kind of like what I'm doing with Envision Assistant, where I want just some really smart, to the point AI that's going to answer questions about technology. And then I want another humorous one when I'm mad or something, I don't know. Or that's tailored toward a given task. Maybe you have one more geared toward, you could have an assistive technology company. You could have one be built for education, one built more focused toward travel. And what types of, because that way you could, yes, it's going to give you the information that it's been giving in all these videos, but if you tailor it further and think about the travel one, and you say, okay, this is the type of information that blind people do not have access to because they can't see. So anytime something seems unsafe or out of the ordinary, let them know immediately. Let them know about if a bus approaches, let them know what number it is. Just use your imagination. Any number of different things that it could be. I know I'm not being super coherent in this video. This isn't meant to be, again, I'm not doing this scripted. I never really do things scripted. But I just sort of wanted to have a general conversation, a brainstorming on the potential that AI has already had, and that this next step with GPT-4o and Gemini, and who knows what Apple's going to announce in early June. You'd like to think they would have to announce something at least fairly comparable, because by these standards, Siri looks brain dead. Had before, but I know Apple doesn't like to jump on trends as soon as they happen, but being behind already and seeing how far along Microsoft and Google and OpenAI, all these other companies are, and there's already been talk about AI is going to be a focus for WWDC. You have to imagine they're going to have some tricks up their sleeve. At least I would certainly hope so, because otherwise they're going to find themselves way behind. That would be an interesting scenario on its own. But what are they going to announce? That translation thing. I had written something on Twitter. I'm like, oh God, if I can monitor in real time and listen to the audio, and I could just say, hey, as soon as you start hearing Japanese, just start translating it. And I could sit there and watch a subbed anime, or I could play a game in another language and have it understand and read it to me aloud in real time. Ooh, that would be so good. That would be so cool. That's another great example. Again, when I talked about before, if it monitored things in real time, and if I was wearing a pair of glasses, I could look at a game, and I could, let's say I was, I'm going to be releasing by the time this video comes out, there's probably going to be a Hades 2 early access video out. And it'd be like, I could just look at the screen and I could just say, when the upgrade screen comes up, I could be like, read me the 3 items in the boon list or the upgrades list, and then it would tell me what those 3 are. So I wouldn't have to set my controller down, pick up my phone, try to make sure it's aimed properly, or have a screen reader and try to do OCR. Like for games that aren't natively accessible, or something happens on your computer, I could even see like this AI assistant, if it's real time. One of the things that we encounter at work is we have, you get a new computer out of the box and they put all this bloatware garbage on it, including things like McAfee or Norton, which are both terrible. But the problem is their uninstall wizards are not screen reader accessible. I can see well enough with magnification to destroy them, but my blind coworker can't. What if he had a pair of glasses and you could literally have a conversation with your AI? You could be like, okay, I'm going to try uninstalling this program. When the uninstall wizard comes up, read me what it says, and then it'd be like, okay, blah, 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 blah. And then now that I know what it says, I could say, oh, I'm going to move the mouse around and tell me when it's on the uninstall button, because that button might be natively unusable with a screen reader. And so you could be looking at that, and you could literally move your mouse to something that is otherwise inaccessible that you've never been able to do before. Any number of different things. while I was watching some of these videos the last 2 days, I'm going, God, there are loads of things, you know, and we haven't even talked about the generative stuff. You know, this is just describing and conversation so far, but they were also talking about things like, you know, generating something that is written, or generating a picture of something, generating some sort of music based on whatever, summarizing a document or documents, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And as we gain access to this as public users, or even in betas, if I'm allowed to share what I'm doing with them, I imagine that I will be covering some of these scenarios in my accessible AI playlist. So keep an eye on AI, because while I've kind of been taking a break from virtual reality lately, because not much has really happened in the way of accessibility the last couple of years, but so much is happening in artificial intelligence, generative AI, that, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting 6 months, year, 2, 3 years out. If they add more to the Ray-Ban glasses, if Apple comes out, you know, they don't worry so much about their $3,500 spatial computing headset. I mean, like I said, I'm curious. I want to play with it, but so expensive. But if they realize and they come out with like a thin pair of glasses like Meta or like Google is trying to do, it's going to get real interesting really fast. You know, we've seen some duds for other AI wearables. You know, the AI pin, that rabbit thing, you know, within the last 2-3 weeks, those two things have kind of been run through the ringer in tech reviews, because, you know, they're promising all these things and they're just not doing it very well. But I think if you were to combine like a pair of smart glasses with a smartphone, you put as much of this stuff locally as you can and only go for the cloud when you need it, it's going to be a lot of powerful tools to help people be more independent. I mean, again, it's not going to solve every problem. Technology is not going to solve all of our problems, but it's certainly going to help. I'm very intrigued to get my pair of Ray-Ban glasses. Very intrigued to see what other wearables, what other AI apps come out this summer. Especially, I have to imagine we're going to get more news on, if not a release, for the Be My Eyes app on Windows. They already told us they were working on that for summer. I could see that being a thing around the summer conventions, maybe a little bit after. I hope other apps come to Windows, because again, if you can integrate that more into the operating system, or be able to monitor things on my computer where I didn't have to wear a pair of glasses. If I'm wearing this gaming headset anyway, it can hear me. If I have a webcam, it can see me. But I'm mainly interested in hearing. Like if I could be running a program or playing a game, and I could just have the AI running in the background watching what's going on, and just ask, what is that thing? Or where can you see any ledge that I could jump to? And it may be able to figure that kind of, like, this is just crazy thinking about what could happen. But, you know, and I know there's still a lot of like security considerations, there's ethical considerations, there's privacy considerations. You know, just because all of this stuff is becoming possible, you know, and excited as I am about it, I think we still have to be very deliberate about how we are implementing these new AI features and how we're releasing them into the world. You know, I mean, there was a tweet I read about, I think it was either yesterday or early today, where they were talking about like AI, your general AI, it just doesn't necessarily understand disability, or it doesn't factor that into its responses, or you have humans make these things, and the AI gets its information from scrubbing all this information from what humans made. So it could inherit biases that are not good. You know, kind of biases or prejudices. You have to worry about the hallucinations. You have to worry about it passing off something as something that it thinks is totally right, totally factual, but it's somehow hallucinating or misinterpreting the information. So again, it's not going to be perfect. Of course, all these videos and showcases are largely, they're pre-recorded, and they're they want to make sure that things go exactly well, but we all know in the real world that doesn't always happen. And especially if privacy or safety are involved, you don't want to just blindly follow an AI and be like, oh, well, it said this, so so I hope that these companies are focused on security, privacy, ethics on what type of information it's providing to people. I'm sure there's going to be some speed bumps in the road. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy stories about what people are going to eventually get this thing to do when they're not testing in the labs anymore, and people are just, running it through its paces out in the real world. And you got some people with some pretty weird and sick and twisted minds, and who knows what they'll try to get it to do. It's not the technology that's inherently bad, it's what people do with it. But I think I've rambled on enough. But as I said, I'm very intrigued of where all of this artificial intelligence, generative intelligence is going. I'm very, just on what I've played with already, with things like Be My AI and the Envision Assistant, and another app or two that I'm currently going to be playing with, or am playing with at the moment, that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about yet. I've seen a lot of promise, and then watching these videos and just imagining other real world use cases and accessibility cases and how I would use this. Yeah, remember about a year ago when I'm like, I don't know really what else I need, or I don't know what else they could really do. Well, I think this is only the beginning. This is going to be a pretty transformative technology, and then you combine that with a wearable that's more of a platform where multiple apps can be ran from it, instead of one app per this device, one app per that device. And if the device is geared toward a mainstream audience, they can sell it for the $300-$400 instead of $4,000. That's also really good. So yeah, everyone jokes about the whole Skynet thing and whatever, but who knows what'll happen. But be good to your AI assistants, your technology overlords. I will submit to them, and so they don't come after and kill me. But anyway, no, I think this is just really fascinating stuff. And I figured this was a really time-relevant topic to chat about for this Global Accessibility Awareness Day, because all of this AI stuff is pretty darn exciting with the potential that it has. So I know this hasn't been maybe the most coherent video, and I'm sure after I'm done recording this, I will think of 5 different things. Oh, why didn't I talk about that? I should have talked about that. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. Definitely check out, like I said, social media, podcast, YouTube, tech and accessibility related stuff, because you're going to probably, in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be hearing a lot more about this stuff. And stay tuned to the channel, because as I gain access to more of these tools, rest assured I will definitely be doing my best to cover them here. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.